Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Libra season. Goodness me, welcome to autumn as well for most of you who watch this channel. Most of you are on the Northern Hemisphere, although I do appreciate and welcome those of you in the Southern Hemisphere who are just starting their springtime. I don't know about you, but here in the UK, I am already dressed. So it's autumn. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put another jumper on, another layer on. Oh, goodness me. What a beautiful time we're in. Happy solar return to the Librans out there. Welcome to this Libra newsletter. There are so many exciting things coming up and so many exciting things that have also just been as well. So let's take a moment to just talk about a couple of those before we go into the energies and the offerings of how Libra invites us to really connect with ourselves and one another. So if you haven't seen already the free workshop that I offered on my YouTube channel on Saturday for the equinox, please feel very welcome to check that out. If you're watching this video through my email newsletter, you'll see it linked further on down. So do carry on scrolling for that, because that was a lovely, very beautifully balancing meditation with Archangel Raguel. It was really, really wonderful to do. But we're in a really interesting time, right? We have an equinox, that equal day, equal night. We have that wonderful invitation of balance, of harmony, of connection, of karma, cause and effect. You know, these are very popular topics right now. And I personally love Libra season and love talking about these because it's one of those things where when we have the eclipses so early on, which this year they were, right? They were a little bit earlier than how I remember them to be. So our first eclipse a week ago now, or just short of a week ago, 5 days ago, seems way longer, was a partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. And I personally love just mentioning these a little bit because we kind of overlook, we can overlook the beauty of eclipses. And eclipses are kind of like a soul graduation, right? It's where whatever karma you have yet unresolved. And I know when I say the word karma, people kind of tend to instantly think of past lifetimes and things like this. But karma is really about the effect to our action, right? Cause and effect. So whatever you do, whatever you say, whatever you think, everything has a response to it, energetical response. The law or the principle of cause and effect. Now, why this is important is because in that very moment that you choose to do something, the intention behind it, the genuine intention, this is key, the genuine intention behind it. So even if you're convincing yourself that your intention is clear and clean and it's not, that's not a genuine intention, right? So your genuine intention has a response to it energetically. And that is karma. And Libra season is this time where represented, I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, professional tarot readers who watch this, but I believe it is this justice card that represents Libra, or one of the cards, I should say, which represents Libra, as you can see by the scales. And Libra is that sign where it's the only one in the zodiac, isn't it, that doesn't have a sentient being in it. It doesn't have an animal or a human in it. And I think this really highlights some of the key qualities and characteristics that Libra can offer us. Yes, there is that Venusian influence as well, the ability to beautify and be very magnetic and, really appreciate the aesthetics and the beauty and the appeal of things, how pretty something is, or how coordinated. I know some of the key Librans in my life very much like the shiny things and what might be very, very beautiful and pretty, especially crystals and jewelry. So I don't know if any Librans on here would agree with that, or whether that's a bit of a sweeping statement. But yeah, let me know. But what I love about the Libra energy is that it really does offer us this kind of seeing of both sides. Now, because there's no sentient being in the Libra zodiac, it's a set of scales, right? because it's not got an animal or human, it kind of allows us that very objective approach. And this can have its benefits as well as its opportunities, of course. But the overlay that we have of being aligned with Libra right now is that it's going to give us the potential, the opportunity to see different angles of situations that perhaps previously we wouldn't have been able to. To see the other side, so to speak, the other facet of the crystal. When we think of things in this way, it's really interesting because where emotion may have got in the way, or where physical life may have got in the way, let's not forget, just a few days ago, we were in Virgo season. Virgo, the manifested, right? The manifested mother, the creational energy, that mutable earth. And now we go into this air sign, inspiration, wisdom, quick mind, thoughts. And when we're in this space, we can raise up a little bit into our creational ability. It can be a little bit easier to create from the seeded aspect. And what I mean by that is, like, when you're in an earth sign, for example, things can be very, very physical, very actualized. When you're in a fire sign, it can be very sped up, very expedited. You know, when you're in a water sign, it can be very emotional process. But when you're in an air sign, for me, I always translate this as the winds of inspiration, bringing that new dawn, the east, right? You know, it's bringing the east, the sunrise, new horizons. What new avenues, new opportunities are you going to delve into to discover? This card here, I mean, it talks about also the balance of light and dark, the balance of the shadows. And this is the thing, is that in order for the scales to balance, we have to take note on what is on each side. And this can be a little bit challenging because sometimes we might not want to be realistic about what we've accrued, especially when we're looking at karma. We might not want to be realistic with how we've portrayed ourselves or how we've actually shown up. But it's kind of that time, and especially if it's anything to do with legalities or contracts or justice, equity, equality, what is right, what you feel is right, what matters to you. These are going to be topics that are going to get revisited, especially with the overlays of eclipses that we have. Now, let us go back to what we were mentioning before, where we had the overlay of the eclipse that just happened 5 days ago. That was a Pisces lunar eclipse. Pisces is, of course, it is the last sign in the zodiac, if the zodiac here was to start with Aries. And it is that sign that invites us into the fantastical nature, the dream state, as well as the actualized state. Pisces says to us, well, let's fantasize a little. Let's make our dreams our reality. But it also taps us into that spiritual aspect. What on the spiritual path is being cleared? What karma there? What avenues are you going to start to delve into? Because that's what this past eclipse might have even incited a little bit, seeded. And I know for, I think, myself, my own experience, it felt like a massive weight just lifted. It was an indescribable one. And not like there was something massive weighing me down, but it just felt like there was just space, just more space. And now we have that with the next eclipse coming up. I think it's maybe around the 3rd of October, when it's going to be a new moon, right? A new moon solar eclipse. And it's going to offer that Libran energy, so new beginnings as well. And lunar eclipses have a different feel to solar eclipses. Lunar eclipses are very much about the subtle inner workings. Usually that is more to do with our shadow, our inner child, our unconscious. And the solar eclipses, it's more to do with how we show up, personality, right? Thought process, physical body as well. And of course, everything that is physical was emotional before that, and before that it was mental. So all eclipses tend to bring through something physical for people. So there's a good chance that within this last week, something physical has shown up for you, whether it's an ache or a pain or a constriction somewhere. But whatever that is, that's old karma. That's old karma. And it's showing up to release so that by the time we get to the 3rd of October and we have the next eclipse, you've got a clear slate. You've processed whatever needed processing, so that the doorway that you can walk through with the balance, the diplomacy, the equal weighing that Libra offers can really inspire you in a way that gives you courage and confidence to step forth in a new way. Now, to support you this month, I have a few workshops coming up that I just want to mention. We have the 1010 portal. 1010 portal is a fantastic one of completion. I'm very much looking forward to this one. I love the 1010 portal. 99 portal, 1010 portal are two of my absolute favorite ones because of the energies that they hold. So for the 10th of October, we have Metatron's Merkaba. So we've got a wonderful hour workshop that you can see via my website. Of course, you'll have all heard of Metatron's Cube. We're going to be working with a very powerful, very wonderful Archangel Metatron to essentially harness in the best possible way the energy of the 1010 and step you forward with new everything and experience his Merkaba. You can look at more details on my website, of course. And on the 21st, I have another online workshop, which is going to be the first workshop in a 3-part series of healing the inner child. Now, the inner child is what essentially is navigating our creational ability. The inner child forms the subconscious. It helps form our relationship dynamics. The inner child has a lot to speak for. It essentially is guiding our whole life, whether we realize it or not. So there's a 3-part series coming up starting on October the 21st. Of course, any online workshop will have an unlimited replay. So do not worry if you're busy already that evening. You can always watch the replay. They are timeless. Watch them as often or whenever you like. And then in person, for those of you local enough to the New Forest, I'm going to be channeling again for wonderful Jackie of Positive Living's Inspirations. We're going to be directly channeling on the 23rd of October in Lyndhurst. So if you are free, 7 till 9 p.m. On Wednesday, the 23rd of October, it will be a joy to see you. I know that's it's usually £10 on the door or book in advance. But that is a wonderful evening where you get to ask direct questions and get a direct response. Let us look a little bit more here at the Libran energy, because of course you have that Venusian influence as well. Speaking of Venusian, I am just going to mention one other thing. I do have appointments available for those that were asking about live appointments. I have the channeled guidance appointments. I have the soul acceleration appointments, which are the ever so popular. And I do always have the 3-day remote healing, whether it's the Pleiadian Venusian healing, the Arcturian one, or whether it's the Christed one. They're always a joy to offer. So you can see all the different offerings right now. There is a vast collection: body scans, light language attunements, November enrollment for spiritual coaching. Have a little look if you are ready to just quantum jump. If it's time for you, if it's your time, if you know that you're getting that pull, whether you think that you're ready or not, just reach out. Reach out. But let us have a little look. I want to just jump back to this card here. So Libra season. It feels very much like there is going to be this massive emphasis this particular year where you are invited to really let go of some of the things that have no longer served. Relationships might be a big one. I'm going to say that. And this is the perspective that our non-physical friends always wish to offer, is that we have to remember that the lifetime that we have here on earth is relatively short. It's tiny in comparison to everything else, all the other lifetimes. But it doesn't make it any less real. And this is really important to acknowledge, because otherwise we end up bypassing ourselves and gaslighting ourselves. we have to acknowledge the emotion that we feel. We have to acknowledge where we are at and also where others are at as well. And sometimes that means that relationships that we have loved, friendships, relationships, family, not family, doesn't matter who they are really. If you can recognize that everyone has their own life path, their own experience in their own right. And when we connect with someone, as time goes on, we kind of build up a continuity with them, a linealization of the mind, and it creates continuity. But what then starts to happen, especially if it's someone with whom you might be intimate on a mental, intellectual, emotional, even physical layer, is that sometimes it becomes apparent that there are aspects of the unconscious, and this is how I'm going to phrase it, is that our unconscious are the rejected parts of self, the parts that we've shamed, the parts that have been shamed or hurt, and they're so foreign to us that we could not recognize them within ourselves. They only show up through others. Now, if you are lucky and fortunate enough to have someone who is taking a role in your life to show and highlight to you an aspect that feels very uncomfortable, yes, I did use the word lucky there, because your higher self is saying it's time to integrate that part. It's time to do the work. And I feel very much that, you can only demonize it as much as you can. You can only demonize it for so long before it's time to really integrate. And this is the point of it being soul graduation. It's graduation. Are you going to repeat for another year a karmic cycle, or are you going to look at what you're being shown by the mirrors that are around us? And everyone is a mirror. I love the phrase in this book with this particular card, the Light Says Tarot. My good karma is delightfully loving and can be the most motivating of teachers. And this is the thing, is that we accrue very good karma as well. And that's what's waiting to take place. That's what's waiting to balance out in the scales. Once the weight is lifted off one side, it's almost like, when will this feather balance? Where will it balance, right? Does it balance here? No. Where does it balance? You have to find that point, right? You have to. And then eventually it will balance. And the good karma that you have accrued is waiting for that balance to come through, right? But sometimes it means you have to stand in your courage. Sometimes it means you got to be uncomfortable. Sometimes it means you got to sit and stand in embarrassment or in that humiliation. You got to sit and stand in those emotions that you feel and just honor yourself enough to feel them, to acknowledge them, to notice them in the body, the somatic side. And then when you do, you can let them go because they will naturally want to anyway. But this is the truth of the matter, is that you are source energy. You come from love. So does everyone else in your life. So do the people that have made it challenging for you. Because in a grand scheme of things, and this isn't to dismiss the human experience, but just to offer you that extra layer and say, whomever has been in your life that's offered you challenge has been the biggest assistance to your own growth, to your own growth. And that can be hard to look at when we have so much pent-up emotion. So we have to let the emotion speak. We have to honor it and witness it in our own right. We have to learn how to hold that space for ourselves. And if we don't know, then we seek that from someone who knows how to hold space. And then they show you what a safe space is like until you can provide that for yourself. This is part of that regulation, that self-regulation, co-regulation. This is part of building the community that we want, that we desire, and that we deserve. It starts by acknowledging that none of us really came here and are existing in this fully healed state. And every one of us have got fractured minds. That's part of what helps guide us on our soul path, right? Part and parcel of it. But Libra season, with it being an air sign, with it being of the mind, with it following on from Virgo as well, Virgo, which helps the nervous system heal, we then also go into the mind aspect a lot bit more with this beautiful air sign, because you have the opportunity to really balance out the scales of the mind. And that has profound impact, because if you think about it, all the neurochemistry in there, controlling all the hormones and moods and emotional energy as well. You'll want to get it done in this season before we move to Scorpio. Because anything that we don't welcome in this season, when Scorpio gets a hold of it, I love Scorpio energy. I absolutely adore Scorpio energy. I thrive with it, but I know it can be a little bit daunting for some. And it's not meant to be. The whole idea of what it is that we're doing here is we are simply bringing parts of ourselves that we've pushed out, we are bringing them back. We're bringing them back. Because the whole world is a reflection. So if you want your reflection to smile, you smile into the mirror, right? And so follow your smile this Libra season. Follow your joy. Laugh. Be free with your laughter. Your laughter is your key to freedom. Laugh. Be well. I feel that's probably enough rambling. For those of you that always comment on my lovely crystal videos, I have some incredible crystal skulls arriving, which I'm really excited to show you. And in the meantime, I will have some smaller pieces of labradorite, because the big ones went so quickly. I decided to get some smaller ones. So they will be similar size to these, with a beautiful electric blue. This one is staying here, of course, but when they arrive, I will get a incredible video for you, because they shimmer electric blue and gold, so they are perfect for the season right now. And a little bit more palm size for those that have been asking for them. So I'll have 4 arriving. But when the crystal skulls arrive, you should see the quality of these ones. They are indescribable. But for now, I send you all so much love. I thank you for your love throughout this past month, and I look forward very much to being of service. If you have any questions that you'd like channeled guidance, responses for that are generic questions that can go out onto my YouTube channel, please feel welcome to email in. And yeah, I'll see you online soon, most likely. Bye for now.